Christian music's biggest ever star, was cancelled by her own church 3 times, twice for things that were never sin, and once for something that was. You almost certainly still sing her songs. This is the 3-act story of Amy Grant, the biggest name Christian music ever produced, and what it quietly exposes about the one thing the church has never learned how to do: hold a line and a person at the same time. First, understand how big she was, because it makes every rejection that follows land harder. Amy Grant was the first Christian artist to go platinum. The first Christian pop singer with a #1 hit on the mainstream Billboard chart. 6 Grammys, more than 24 Dove Awards, and eventually the first contemporary Christian artist ever honored at the Kennedy Center. She practically built the runway that every worship artist you love has flown off since. And the songs. Some of them you have sung in church without ever knowing they ran through her. She co-wrote Thy Word with Michael W. Smith. She took El Shaddai and Sing Your Praise to the Lord, written by Michael Card and a young Rich Mullins, and made them famous enough to become standards. For a whole generation, Amy Grant was the sound of Christian radio. Which is exactly why what happened next stung the way it did. Wave 1. 1991. She releases an album called Heart in Motion, and a single called Baby Baby goes to #1, not on the Christian chart, on the Billboard Hot 100, the actual pop chart. And the church panicked. The song didn't mention Jesus. The video had her flirting with a male model who wasn't her husband. The queen of Christian music was suddenly on secular radio between the pop stars, and the verdict came down fast: she's gone worldly. She's sold out. But here is the detail almost nobody stops to check. The thing that makes this first cancellation look faintly ridiculous in hindsight. Baby Baby, the sultry love song everyone assumed was about a lover. She wrote it about her 6-week-old daughter, Millie. It's a mother singing to her newborn. The song that proved Amy Grant had abandoned the faith was, in fact, a lullaby. So what was Wave 1 really about? Not heresy. It was a Christian woman making pop music without asking permission, and a subculture that policed a woman's worldliness far harder than it ever policed a man's. That is not a doctrinal failure on her part. It is a legalism failure on ours. Verdict on Wave 1. They were wrong. Wave 2 is heavier, and I want to be careful with it. In 1999, after 17 years of marriage, Amy Grant divorced her husband, the Christian musician Gary Chapman. The following year she married the country star Vince Gill. And the church did not just grumble this time, it moved. Christian bookstores pulled her records off the shelves. Several of the largest Christian radio stations stopped playing her for years. The hate mail came by the sack. As far as evangelical America was concerned, Amy Grant was cancelled. Now, was there a real question here? Yes. The church has always taken the permanence of marriage seriously, and it should. Divorce is a genuine grief, not a neutral event. So this wave is not as simple as the first. But look at how it fell. Chapman himself later spoke openly about his own struggles in that marriage, and Chapman kept his career without a scratch. She lost hers. Same divorce. One of them got boycotted. If Amy Grant had been a man, evangelical radio would have forgiven her before the ink was dry. So even where there was a real question to ask, the way we asked it was merciless, and it was gendered. Verdict on Wave 2. The concern was fair, the cruelty was not. And then Wave 3, which is different, and I am not going to pretend otherwise. In 2022, Amy Grant hosted her niece's same-sex wedding on the same hillside where she married Vince Gill. And she spoke about it warmly. Everybody's welcome. You should be able to be who you are and be loved by your family. Jesus, she said, narrowed it all down to love God and love each other. Franklin Graham responded publicly, God, not us, defines sin, he said, and love that never speaks the truth about it is not really love. And here is where a channel like this has to be honest, even when it costs us the easy applause. Waves 1 and 2 were the church punishing things that were not sin, art, and a broken marriage. Wave 3 is not that. Affirming same-sex marriage is a genuine departure from what the scriptures teach and what the church has held for 2,000 years. Not because the church is cruel, but because it has always believed God, not us, gets to define what marriage is. So no, this time the people grieving were not wrong to grieve. This was a real line, and she crossed it. Hold that plainly. But hold this too, in the same hand. Notice that this time, the time it was actually warranted, there was no boycott, no bookstore purge. Just criticism. The church, it turns out, is fierce about the lines that don't cost it much, and quiet about the ones that do. So what is the thread running through all three? It is not, the church is always cruel. It is not, Amy Grant is always right. It is this: the church has never learned to tell the difference between a matter of liberty, a matter of grief, and a matter of doctrine, and it has never learned to speak into any of them with grace. Twice it swung the axe at things God never called sin. The third time it named something real. But by then, after decades of the axe, why on earth would she be listening? That is the quiet cost of crying wolf. If we burned her for a lullaby and a divorce, we forfeited the credibility to be heard on the thing that actually mattered. Because here is the truth underneath all of it, and it is the reason this story is not really about Amy Grant at all. The church has only ever been handed one tool for this, and it is not the boycott. Jesus never once separated the two things we keep tearing apart: grace and truth. Full of grace and truth. John says of him, not 50-50, not grace on the days we like someone, and truth on the days we don't. Both. Always. Truth without grace is just cruelty with a Bible verse. Grace without truth is just cowardice with a smile. And almost every one of us defaults to one or the other. We cancel the people we should be carrying, and we flatter the people we should be warning. Amy Grant spent 30 years on the receiving end of a church that could do outrage but could not do restoration. So we can keep singing her songs, and we should. Thy word is still true no matter who is singing it. But the real test this story leaves is not about her at all. It is about us. When someone you love drifts on something small, or on something that genuinely matters, do you have anything in your hands besides the axe? Can you tell them the truth and stay? Because that is the whole of it. The church that could have kept Amy Grant, the church that can keep you, is not the one that guards its lines the hardest. It is the one that finally learned to hold the line and the person at the same time. Which is the only way Jesus ever held anyone.